Joined by Senator Bernie Sanders. He's an independent United States Senator from Vermont, possible 2016 presidential candidate. Senator, thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Talk politics a bit later. Are you with the president as far as his ISIS strategy in Iraq and Syria has unfolded?
I tell you, Wolf, I've got a lot of concerns. I think it's an enormously complicated issue. I do not agree with those critics of the president who say he was waiting too long. You know, Bush and Cheney had a strategy for Iraq, and they were forceful, and they were bold, and they committed the worst foreign policy blunder in the history of the United States. So on an issue this complicated, we've got to think it through. ISIS clearly is a brutal, dangerous organization. We all agree that it has got to be defeated. Here is my concern. My concern is that the United States gets involved in a quagmire, in a never-ending war, that it is the United States of America, our soldiers, our taxpayers, who are defending the royal family of Saudi Arabia, who are worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Now, if this is such a crisis to the region, why are the Saudis have a big Air Force, you know? They got a lot of F-16s. Why aren't they involved? Why isn't Kuwait? You remember Kuwait? We kind of forget Kuwait. We went to war to put the Kuwaiti government back. Where are they? Where are the billionaires in Qatar? So we need, if these guys in the region think that ISIS is such a great threat, they got to put some skin in the game. I don't see that at this point.
I don't see the Saudi Arabian Air Force, which, for example, which has a lot of U.S.-made F-15s and F-16s. I don't see them launching any airstrikes against ISIS.
But they're very happy to have us do their work. So I think they have got to get their hands a little bit dirty in this conflict.
You voted against going to war in 2003 against Saddam Hussein, and you say that's the biggest foreign policy disaster in U.S. history. Some people might say the Vietnam War was a big foreign policy disaster as well.
That was another one. But clearly, what my point was, you can't criticize the president for trying to think this one through. Bush and Cheney were forceful, they were direct, and it turned out to be a major blunder of which we are suffering today.
The president wants you to vote for $500 million as early as the next few days to fund moderate Syrian rebels opposed to the Bashar al-Assad regime, training and arming.
Right.
Then will you vote yay or nay?
Well, here's my problem. My problem is in a CR. If I vote against it, you're voting to shut down the government.
Continuing resolution.
Blah, blah, blah. So it becomes, you're voting for a bowl of money.
Let's say it were a separate $500 million to $500 million funding appropriation.
I'm looking at this issue really hard. At this point, I'm leaning no.
You're leaning to vote against it.
Yeah.
What about authorizing a formal vote that would give the president authorization to go to war against ISIS?
Everything is in the language. You can't talk in a general sense here. I have and do support the president using airstrikes. I think he has the right to do that. I think that they are working. I support that. But I am very, very nervous about two things. Ground troops getting caught, our young people getting caught up in the war. I'm chairman of the Veterans Committee. I have seen what the war in Iraq has done to hundreds of thousands of young people, and I worry about that. And second of all, I don't know why the taxpayers of Vermont have got to defend the royal family of Saudi Arabia, which is worth hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah, they're trying to put together a coalition, but they're looking to the United States. And a lot of people like you are saying, why does the United States always need to do the work?
And not to mention, you know, I'm sure you have reported, the UK is concerned about terrorism there. You know, they have a good royal...
But you agree ISIS poses a threat to the United States. Are you worried about ISIS terrorists coming here to the United States?
I'm worried about everything. They are a threat to Europe, to the United States, to the region. They've got to be stopped. But it cannot be just the United States alone.
So, and you don't feel that the coalition that Secretary Kerry's talking about, 40 nations involved, you don't think that's good enough?
I read some of the language. It is not particularly strong at this point. And I know it's difficult. Kerry is trying. President is trying. But I need stronger language.
Here's the political question. Do you want to be president of the United States?
Do I want to be president? I think anyone who wants to be president is a little bit crazy, to tell you the truth. I don't wake up in the morning saying I want to be president. But what I do believe is at a time when the middle class of this country is disappearing, when you have more people in poverty than ever before, and where you have more wealth and income inequality than we've had since 1929, where you have a billionaire class not only controlling our economy, but because of Citizens United now being able to put hundreds of millions of dollars into elections. You got climate change out there. You got huge issues. We need candidates to stand up for the working class and the middle class of this country so the billionaires don't get it all.
So will you run for president of the United States?
I am thinking about it. I was just at Iowa. We had some great meetings the other day. I am thinking about it. But for my politics, we need, we're going to have the Koch brothers and other billionaires spending a fortune. We'd have to put together an extraordinarily good organization. Don't know at this point if we can. So it's something that I am thinking about.
You're an independent who caucuses with the Democrats. If you run, will you run for the Democratic nomination, or will you run as a third-party independent candidate? There have been some, Ross Perot, as all of us remember. Which avenue do you prefer?
Well, if I had Ross's billions, I might run. That might be an easy answer. Putting together a 50-state independent political infrastructure is not easy. There are advantages running for an independent because there's a lot of anger at the Republican Party, which has become extremely right, at the Democratic Party, which has not been seen as strong as it should be defending working-class people. So there's a lot to be said about that. On the other hand, it's tough putting together an independent political structure for 50 states. And if you run in the Democratic primary, you're in the debates, et cetera, et cetera. So the answer is I don't know yet, and that is something I'm talking to a whole lot of people about.
If you run for the Democratic presidential nomination, could you beat Hillary Clinton?
Look, I don't know that I could. I don't know, though, that I couldn't. But this is what I do know. I know that this country faces enormous problems. I know that at a time when we have seen a huge increase in productivity, tens of millions of workers in this country are working longer hours for lower wages. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty. 95% of all new income since the Wall Street crash. You know where that's gone, Wolf? It's gone to the top 1%. That is not what America is supposed to be about. So I think we need a movement around this country so that we create a situation where government represents the middle class and working class and not just the billionaires.
One final question. If you run, when will you decide?
I've got time on that, but certainly not before the November election.
Not before the midterms, but shortly thereafter. That's what Hillary Clinton's expected to announce.
Hillary will do her thing, and I'll do mine. I'm not sure when.
All right, we'll see what happens. Senator, always good to have you here
Thank
in
you.
the Situation Room, Senator Bernie Sanders, the independent senator from Vermont. Still ahead, fears of a terrorist supergroup, a new call for ISIS and al-Qaeda to join forces against their common enemies. And are President Obama and his war team on the same page? We're going to talk about the muddled message and the political fallout we're hearing today. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.